Shabbat Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, members and guests. We begin our service with Birkot haShachar, page 148. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sach v'vina lach v'in ben yom v'in layla. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani b'tzalmo.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani ben chorin.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ubisharamim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zakev kefufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, merkat alamayim.
Amen.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shesalikot sarki.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sheichim in tzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, azer yishol begvura.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ater yishol b'tifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oten le'yayev koah.
Amen. You may be seated. We continue on page 152.
Ashreinu matavokenu mana'im goraleinu ma'ifayu shateinu Ashreinu shenachnu mashkimim u'marivim erev avaga v'ramim hamayim b'chol yom
Shema Yisrael Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
V'tshuvata tarim v'tabiya kaneinu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh shimcha b'Rabbi.
Page 158.
Yirtzon fanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'levateinu sheyeh b'nei beit hamikdash v'imharav yameinu v'tein l'kein v'tortecha v'sham levadcha b'yirat kamei olam v'ukshanim kamaniyot.
Mourners, please rise for the Kiddush Derabanan, page 160.
Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei Rabba
Amen.
Yomad divrach Yerusei v'yamlech malchusei v'chayechan v'yamechan v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yimaru. Amen.
Amen. Yishmei Rabba v'rach l'olam l'olmei almaya.
Yisparach v'yishtabach v'yispoar v'yisramam v'yisnasei v'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shmei dekudasha brichu
Brichu.
v'yeila min kol berchasa v'shirasa tush b'chasa v'nechemasa damiran b'yama v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yisrael v'yal Rabbanan v'yal Tamidei Hon v'yal kol Tamidei Hon v'yal kol man dioskim b'deraisa di v'yasra hadein v'di b'chol asar v'asar Yehei lahan ulchan shlama rabba china v'chisa v'rachamin v'chayin arichin u'mezan revichei v'forkuna min kadam avahon di v'shmaya v'aravi imaru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Shalom b'rumav hu v'rachamav yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Page 174.
Hayam yom Shabbat kodesh shabo hayu halva'im amrim b'veit hamikdash means mashir yom Shabbat. Ad yinavim b'seva deshnim eranim yiyu lagit yesharanai tzuri v'lo avla tavo.
Page 184.
Mizmar sher Chanukah sabayis l'David. Haftarah mispri l'ma koli pitak tasaki v'tazreni simcha leman yezemercha chavod v'lo yidam Adonai Elohai le'lamadeka.
Mourners, please remain standing for the Kaddish Yatom, page 186.
Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei Rabba v'yamad divrach Yerusei v'yamlech malchusei v'chayechan v'yamechan v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yispar v'yisraman v'yisnaseh v'yisadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shmei dekudesha bricho
Bricho.
Ela mikol berchasa v'shirasa tush bechasa v'nechamasa Damiran be'alma v'meru amen Yehi Shama Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen. You may be seated. We continue on page 234.
Shachain ad maram v'kadosh shemo. B'fi sharim dit halal, v'divrei tzadikim tit parach, v'shan chasidim tit ramam. ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל. להודות לשבח, לפעול לרומם, להדר לברך להלל כל עץ, על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי, עבדך משיחך.
Please rise.
ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. ברכה והודות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני. מלך גדול ותשבחות אל הודות אדוני כלות. הבקר בשירי זמרו מלכך העולמים. יתקרב יקרא שמי רבו.
Amen.
וברכתים למלכותי. וחייכנו ויומכנו חיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה מזמן גרי וימרו אמן. יהי שמי רבא מבורך. לעולם לעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם וינשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילה מקרבך ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה. דמירן בעלמו וימרו אמן.
Page 240. Baruch Adonai Mavirach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvarech hoshecho oseh shalom uvarei et hakol l'koydech v'moshe b'chuchav.
We continue on page 242.
Kerkachan Eloheinu b'olam hazeh v'yenzu lecha malkeinu l'chayil haba. Eves b'lagoleinu limad HaMashiach v'yendu melech HaMashiachenu l'fiyat hametim. El Adon al kol ha'maasim baruch mevorach b'fi kol neshama gadol v'tov amalei olam das zvon nasa v'vimato hamizkael החייס הקודש ונהדר בכבוד על המקומו זכות ומשול לפני כיסו חסד ורחמים לבני כבודו טובים ליורו ג'רו אלוהינו יצר המדע בבינה ובהשכל כוח וגבורה נוסן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל מלאים זיו ומביקים מנהגה, נועזיבם בכל העולם, שמחים בצאצם וששים בבואם, עושים ביים הרצון כהנם, פייר וכבוד, נותנים לשמות, צלב ובינה לזכר מלכותו, Kara l'Hashem vayizrachol, ra ve'izkin surat savana, shevach nonim lo, kol tzva amarom, tiferes ugedula, serafim v'yofanim v'chayos hakodesh, la'el sheshver v'sheva mikol amasim.
Page 246, then continue on 250.
Hitparas reinu malkeinu golem Birkot Hashim. ולמלכים אביהם קדושה ותורה בשירה וזמרה ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שמו אל המלך הגדול הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא וכולם מקבלים עליהם מלכות שמיים זה מזה ונותנים רשות זה לזה להקדיש עצמם ונחת רוח בסוף ערבו ונעימה קדושה כולם כי אחד עונים ורואים בעירה קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלך כל הארץ כבודו ועובדים בחיי קודש בראש גדול מן הסמל והצרפים יומתם משבחים ויאמרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אור חדש על זיין טעים ונצחך כולנו מרליות ברוך אתה אדוני יוצא המאורות עברותנו אלינו. ואבינו לשלום אל בכנפות הארץ ותלכנו כמו לארצנו כי אל פועל שורתה ובנו בחרתם אליו ולשון וגרבתנו לשמך גדול סלע באמת להודות לך יחדך ביהבו ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר במו ישראל מיהבו.
Page 258.
Haftarah Adonai haShachar b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום עובר לבך ושינתם לבניך ותברתם בם ושבתך ובתך וכמה דרך בך ובקומך ושרתם לאות אוידיך במלכותם ובזרוע ביתך ובשעריך והיה
See. These screws.
Elohechem emes.
Adonai Elohechem emes. ודור ודור קיים ושמו קיים, וחיסון נכון ומלכותו באמונתו לעד קיים. אמן. אמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ולבתינו מלכנו, מלך אבותינו, גאולנו גאול אבותינו. יוצרנו צור שורתנו פרדנו, מצילנו מעולם שמך, אין עלים זולתך, זרוע אבותינו.
We're on page 266.
תהילה לאליין ברוך ומברך, משה בני ישראל גנו שירה, בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נהרה תהילות אוסף אלך. שירה חדשה, שימחו גאולים לשמך שפת הים, יחד כולם הודרים לך ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Please rise.
To Israel, לקומה בעזרת ישראל, ובטחינו מכה יהודה וישראל. גאלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני.
We begin the Amidah together on page 270, then conclude it silently after the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shema.
Eloheinu le'avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Oel HaGadol, HaGibavan, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot, ומביא כל לבני בניהם למען שורייו, המלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Shema.
אברהם.
Amen.
הגבר לעולם אדוני, מחיים מדמעתו רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדם אליו מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן עד הלחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Shema.
מחיי המתים.
Amen.
נגדי שג'ים בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו, בשמי מרום. ככתוב ביד נביאך, גוזר זה ויאמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלך כל הארץ כבודו. אז בגלל רב גדול, אדיר וחזק, משמיעים קול, מתנסים תרומת שרפים, תרומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מגנו תופיע ותמלך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך, מתי תמלך בציון, בקהרה בימינו לעולם ועד. תשכון, תשכדה ותזכו ודש בסוף ירושלים עירך לדור ודור ונצח נצחים וייננו תירנה מלכותך כאן אמור בשירי עוזך על ידי דוד משיח צדקך ימלך אדוני לעולם אלי ציון לדור ודור לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד לך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נרדיש וזברך עלינו מפינו למשל המועד כי יהיה מלך אלוהים הקדושה ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Shemai. Amen. We continue silently, page 274 throughout 282.
יתקדם ירשמי רבה ביום דקה כתב למחנה ברכות ומחנה וחד לבית ישראל בגלל בזמן קריבים מרו
Menish Mirabah Baruch Lamalal Me'almaya.
Elamea יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויגדל וינשא וידע לשמי לקודשה
Grihu.
ונברכת ושבחת ושבחת ונחמתו דאמירן בימיו וימרו
Amen.
Saddam Vodhan Khoisha Kadam Abuhandi Vishmaya Vimero
Amen.
Hey Shlamar of Shamaya Vachaim Elam Khoisha Vimero Oh Shalom Mavias Shalom Alein Khoisha Vimero Amen.
As we move on to the Torah service, you will find the service for the opening of the Ark on page 326.
Ein kamach blim Adonai v'yegem asecha machadcha machad kol ha'olamim v'shaltecha v'ador v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom Avarachamim eitiva v'tzadcha et Zion Hivnecha ad Yerushalayim Ki mecha levad batachnu Melech el-Ram v'nisa Adon olamim Vayivin Zaharon Vayomer Moshe Kumar ויונוסו משונאיך מפניך. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל, בקדושת שמי.
Page 330.
Be'anarachet v'lishme kadisha kadisha yakira ana martush bechon be'anarachet be'anarachet Velishme kadisha kadisha yakira ana martush bechon yerava kadamak v'tiftach libai b'yayraita v'taslin mishalin libai ולבד כל עמך ישראל, לטוב ולחיים ולשלום. אמן.
We continue on page 334.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
God Adonai iti, Onerabema Shemaya Chadav. Lecho Adonai, Hagedullah, Ve'agevura, Ve'atiferet, Ve'anetzach, Ve'ahod, Ki Kol Bashamayim Uvaretz. Lecha Adonai, Amamlacha, Ve'aminaseh, Lecho Lerosh. Ramamo, Ramamo, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavo, Ve'itachavo, L'adam raglav kadoshu. Ramamo, Ramamo, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavo, Ve'itachavo, Le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Two, three, four.
Lie.
Shabbos, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Rabbi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I think our connection here at the Lodzer just had a glitch.
Yeah, if you don't hear me sing a word, just let me know and I can go back because it keeps saying my internet is stable and then unstable.
Okay,
So
it might be your internet, then again, it might be ours here at the shul.
Okay, just let me know.
My internet says I'm unstable.
See, I didn't even hear that.
Hear me?
Rafi, your internet is not very stable?
No, it's fine.
Okay, then you are the co-host, just in case the Lodger kicks us out. Well, then we won't be able to transmit the Torah picture, but at the very least, nobody will be locked or kicked out of the event.
Okay. Can I start?
Well, today's portion is Pinchas. It picks up right where the portion of Balak ended, with Pinchas being very, very zealous. Talk about cancel culture. And yes, Rafi, please announce the pages.
We are on page 686. On the top of the page, verse 10 to verse 12 for the Kohen Aliyah. ויעזור ויגן ויושיע לכל החוסים בו ונאמר אמן. הבו גוד, הכל הבו גוד לאלוהינו ותנו כבוד תורה כרב כהן יעמוד יעקב אלימלך בן יוסף הכהן ומיכל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו בישראל בקדושתו, ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום. Good Shabbos, Jeff.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
We're about to start right here. Can you see?
Yes, I
Please
can.
touch and kiss.
I did. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Lam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aharon HaKohen. Heshiv et chamati me'al bnei Yisrael. V'kano et kinati b'tocham. V'lo chiliti et bnei Yisrael b'kinati. Lachen emor. Hineni noten lo et briti shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chai olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Yashar
For the second
koach.
Aliyah of the Levi, Aliyah, we welcome Sharon Berger. We are still on page 686, verse 13 to verse 15. תעמוד חיה שרה בת אברהם הלוי וזלדה.
Good Shabbos, Sharon. Can you
Good
see where we
Shabbos.
are?
Yes, I got it. Thank you. Baruch hu Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bachar banu mikol chamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vahayita lo uzaro acharav berit kahunat olam tachat asher kineh lelohav vayechaper al bnei Yisrael v'shem ish Yisrael hamukeh asher hukah et midyanit Zimri ben Salu, Nesivet Av Lishmoni, V'shem ha'isha hamuka hamidyanit kazbi vat tzur rosh umot beit av b'midyan hu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. For the third Aliyah, we welcome Harvey Storm. Still at the bottom of page 686, going to 687, verse 16 to chapter 26, verse 4. Yamod Chaim Yitzchak Tzvi ben Yisrael David v'Sara Esther Shlishi.
Good Shabbos, Harvey. Can you see where we're about to start?
Good Shabbos, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ho'amim V'notan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ato Adonai
Shema.
Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Tzaror et Midyanim, v'hikitem otam, ki sorerim hem lachem, v'nichlehem, asher niklu lachem, al devar pa'or, v'al devar, kazbi vatnesi midyan achotam, Hamuka v'yom hamagefa al devar pa'or, v'yehi acharei hamagefa, v'yomer Adonai el Moshe, v'el Elazar, ben Aharon hakohen lemor, se'u et rosh kol hadat b'nei Yisrael, mi ben 20 shana, V'mala leveit avotam, kol yotzei tzava b'Yisrael. Vaydaber Moshe ve'Elazar hakohen otam ba'arvot Moav al Yarden Yerecho lemor mi ben 20 shana v'mala kasher Tziva Adonai et Moshe uvenei Yisrael hayotzim me'eretz Mitzrayim.
Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Notan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Olam Nata B'tochenu. Baruch Ato Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. For the fourth Aliyah, we welcome Saul Koplowitz, and it is verse 5 to verse 11, all of it page 687. Yamod Shlomo ben Israel Revi'i.
Good Shabbos, sir. Can you see where we're about to start? Oh, one moment. Under whose name is Saul's device, Rafi?
Saul's iPad.
I'll tell you in a second.
Sorry?
It says Saul's iPad. SOL.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Good.
now he's unmuted.
All right. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim V'natan Lanu et HaTorah. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Reuven b'chor Yisrael, b'nei Reuven, חנוך משפחת חנוכי, לפלו משפחת הפלואי, לחצרון משפחת החצרוני, לכרמי משפחת הכרמי, אלה משפחות הראובני, ויהיו פקודיהם 43,730. ובני פלו אליאב, ובני אליאב נמואל ודתן ואבירם, ודתן ואבירם קראי העדה, אשר יצאו על משה ועל אהרון בעדת קורח, והצלתם על אדוני. ותפתח הארץ את פיה, ותבלע אותם ואת קורח במות העדה, ואכול האש את 50 ו200 איש, ויהיו לנס. ובני קורח לא מתו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nota b'sochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, for the fifth Aliyah, it's Howard Eisman, verse 12 to verse 22, and unfortunately I lost his Hebrew name, so if somebody can get him up.
Ari Mordechai ben Yaakov v'Miriam.
Okay, Yamod Ari Mordechai ben Yaakov v'Miriam, Chamishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen. Amen. Bnei Shimon lemishpachotam linemuel, mishpachat hanemueli leyamin, mishpachat hayamini leyachin, mishpachat hayachini lezerach, mishpachat hazarchi לשאול, משפחת השאולי, אלה משפחות השמעוני, 22,200, בני גד למשפחותם, לצפון, משפחת הצפוני, לחגי, משפחת החגי, לשוני, משפחת השוני, לאזני, משפחת האזני, לארי, משפחת הארי, לארוד, משפחת הארודי, לארלי, משפחת הארלי, אלה משפחות בני גד לפקודיהם, 40,500. בני יהודה ועונן, וימת ועונן בארץ כנען. ויהיו בני יהודה למשפחותם לשלה, משפחת השלני לפרץ, משפחת הפרצי לזרח, משפחת הזרחי. ויהיו בני פרץ לחצרון, משפחת החצרוני לחמול, משפחת החמולי. אלה משפחות יהודה לפקודיהם, 76,500.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Tein HaTorah.
Amen.
For the sixth Aliyah, slight change of plans, we're welcoming Holden Summer, and it is verse 23 on page 688 to verse 34 on 689. Ya'amod, Aryeh ben Ze'ev, Shishi.
Good job, Miss Holden. Can you see where we're about to start?
Yes.
Go ahead, touch and kiss, and you're on.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch
Baruch
Shemo.
Shema.
noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. B'nei Yisachar lemishpachotam tola. Mishpachat hatola'i lefuva. Mishpachat hapuni leyashuv. Mishpachat hayashuvi leshimron. Mishpachat hashimroni. Ele Mishpachot Yisachar Livkudehem Arba v'shishim elef ushlosh me'ot Bnei Zvulun Lemishpachotam Lesered Mishpachat Hasardi Le'elon Mishpachat Ha'eloni Le'yach Le'el Mishpachat hayachleili, ele mishpachat zvuloni livkudehem, 60,500. Bnei Yosef lemishpachotam Menashe ve'Ephraim, Bnei Menashe lemachir, mishpachat machiri, umachir holit et Gilad leGilad. Mishpachat HaGiladi, ele b'nei Gilad, Hiezer, Mishpachat HaIezri, lechelek, Mishpachat HaChi, V'Asriel, Mishpachat HaAsrieli, V'Shechem, Mishpachat HaShichmi, Ushmidah, Mishpachat Hashmidai, V'Chefer, Mishpachat HaChefri, Utlaf Chad ben Chefer, Lo hayu lo banim ki im banot, V'Shem banot Tlaf Chad, Machala v'no'ah, Kagla milcha v'tirtza, ele mishpachot Menashe uvkudehem shenayim v'chamishim elef ushva me'ot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shema.
noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
There was one big family, Rabbi.
Well, more than
For
one,
the seventh-
according to the Torah.
Yeah. Thank God that we don't have to invite them to our shul. We wouldn't have room. Anyways,
Oh, we
for
have
the
plenty
seventh
of room, as you can see.
Oh, now, yes. We welcome Sam Nadler for the seventh Aliyah, which is on page number 689, verse 35 to 51, starting with Ephraim's family. Yamod Israel ben Aryeh v'Frida Shvi'i.
איפה זה?
Good. Shabbos, sir, right here. Can you see?
שלום, כן.
Umevarach. Please touch and kiss, and on you go.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. Ele b'nei Ephraim, lemishpachotam, l'shutelach, mishpachat hashutachim, levecher, mishpachat habachrim, letachan, mishpachat hatachani, ve'ele b'nei shutelach, La'eran, mishpachat ha'erani, ele mishpachot b'nei Ephraim livkudehem, shenayim u'shloshim, 1,500, ele b'nei Yosef lemishpachotam, b'nei Binyamin lemishpachotam, levela, Mishpachat habalim le'ashbel, Mishpachat ha'ashbelim le'achiram, Mishpachat ha'achirami, lishfufam, Mishpachat ha'shufami, lechufam, Mishpachat ha'chufami, Vayihiyu v'nei vela ard v'na'aman, Mishpachat ha'ardi, l'naman, Mishpachat ha'na'ami, ele b'nei Binyamin, lemishpachotam, uvkudehem, chamisha v'arba'im, 1,600. Ele b'nei Dan, lemishpachotam, l'shucham, Mishpachat haShuchami, ele mishpachot Dan lemishpachotam, kol mishpachot haShuchami livkudehem, 1,400, b'nei Asher lemishpachotam, leyimna, mishpachat hayimna, L'yishvi, mishpachat hayishvi, livriya, mishpachat habri'i, livenei bri'a, lechever, mishpachat hachevri, lemalkiel, mishpachat hamalkieli, l'shem bat asher sarach, ele, Mishpachot v'nei Asher livkudehem, 53,400, b'nei Naftali lemishpachotam, leYachzeel, mishpachat haYachzeeli, leguni, mishpachat haguni, leYetzer, mishpachat haYitzri, L'shilem, mishpachat hashilemi, ele mishpachot Naftali lemishpachotam, uvkudehem, 45,400, ele pekudei b'nei Yisrael, 600,000 ve'alef, 730.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Please turn to the back pages of your Siddur for Tefillah for healing. Misheberach Avoteinu ve'imotenu Mayan haberachot borei refuot Misheberach Avoteinu ve'imotenu Mayan haberachot borei refuot Adonai, source of healing, bring blessings to those we love. Renew their spirits, renew their courage, renew their strength of a body and soul. Misheberach Avoteinu ve'imotenu Mayan haberachot borei refuot. Adonai, God of compassion, bring comfort to those we love. Adonai, God of compassion, bring healing from above. Misheberach Avoteinu ve'imotenu Ma'ayan haberachot borei refuot. And let us all say Amen. Misheberach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak ve'Yakov Moshe Aaron David u'Shlomo ve'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel ve'Lea ve'varech ve'irapeh kol hacholim.
As is our custom at this stage of the service, we pray for the health of those unwell, wishing them strength and speedy recovery. Please continue updating me and the other clergy and the lay leadership about the state of your beloved ones.
What? Yes, it is.
בתוך שאר כל ישראל, בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים בעבורם, בסך הזה הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם ולרפאותם, להחזיקם ולהחיותם, וישלח להם מהרה, רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף לכל איבריהם וגידיהם, שבת היא מלזעוק, ורפואה קרובה לבוא, השתה בעגלה בזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן. May God grant a full and speedy recovery to all those who are ill.
Please rise for the reader's half Kaddish.
There we go.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ויומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, עולם ולעלמיה יתברך, וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל בחטא ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen.
Yes, Rafi, if you care to announce the pages first.
Yes, the Maftir Aliyah is on, oh, I lost the page here, 689,
presumably?
Yeah, 689 sounds good to me. And it is verse 48 to verse 51. Yamod Fishel Chaim ben Mendel Moshe Halevi v'Sara Maftir Chazak.
Good Shabbos, Fishel Chaim.
But shalom, Rabbi, Cottage Boy. Arlene?
That's me. Or Sam.
We're about to start right here. Can you see?
Yes, I can, Rabbi.
On you go.
Baruch Adonai Amvorach.
Baruch Adonai
Baruch Adonai Baruch Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. B'nei Naftali lemishpachotam leyachzeel mishpachat hayachzeeli leguni mishpachat haguni leyetzer mishpachat hayitzri leshilem mishpachat hashilemi. Ele mishpachot Naftali lemishpachotam uvkudehem chamisha v'arba'im elef v'arba me'ot. Ele pekudei b'nei Yisrael shesh me'ot elef v'alef shva me'ot u'shloshim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temed v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shema.
noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Yamedu HaMagbiya v'Hagoleh, Sefer Torah, please rise as the Rabbi lifts and wraps the Torah.
Zod haTorah asher
Hashem,
Adonai b'nei Yisrael Adonai Moshe.
Okay, Moshe, Torah.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah,
Hey.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Morasha Kehilot Yaakov, Morasha Kehilot Yaakov, Morasha Kehilot Yaakov, Torah Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Morasha Kehilot Yaakov, Morasha Kehilot Yaakov, Morasha Kehilot Yaakov, Torah Tziva
lanu Arli Moshe.
Yashar Koach, and please be seated. Our Haftarah today is directly connected to the story of Pinchas. Again, it is a story of great loyalty, great faith in the Almighty, much lesser tolerance. As the story dealt in the portion with Pinchas, the story of the Haftarah concentrates on Eliyahu Hanavi, the prophet Eliyahu, prophet Elijah, when he calls up for the ultimate test, not to say contest, the prophets of Baal, the servants of the evil king Ahab. And again, Eliyahu, very clearly, his character is connected throughout the Tanakh to that of Pinchas. Both are people who care much more about God than about the people, with both the positive and the downsides that brings. Rafi, if you will please announce the pages. Rafael?
The pages is page 710 to 713, Jeremiah, and Reb Fischel, you're on.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim
V'ratzav v'divreihem nemarim be'emet. Baruch Adonai Avocher b'Torah u'Moshe Avdo u'V'Yisrael Amo v'Nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Divrei Yirmiyahu ben Chilkiyahu min haKohanim asher banatot be'eretz Binyamin asher hayad var Adonai elav b'mei Yoshiyahu ben Amon melech Yehuda b'shlosh esrei shana lemalcho v'yehi b'mei Yehoyakim ben Yoshiyahu melech Yehuda Antom ashte esrei shana Tzidkiyahu ben Yoshiyahu melech Yehuda ad galot Yerushalayim b'chodesh hachamishi Vayehi dvar Adonai elai lemor V'terem et tzaracha v'beten yadaticha U'v'terem tetzei merechem hikdashticha Navi lagoyim netaticha V'amar Adonai Elohim Hine lo yadati daber Dinar anochi Vayomer Adonai elai Al tomar nar anochi ki akal kol asher eshlachacha telech ve'et kol asher atzavacha tedaber al zira mipnehem ki itecha ani atzilecha numeronai Vayishlach Adonai et yado, vayagal pi, vayomer Adonai elai hine, natati devarai beficha, rei, yikadeticha hayom hazeh, al hagogim ve'al hamamlachot, V'lintosh ulavid v'larom levanot v'lintoa v'yehi bar Adonai elai lemor mata roeh Yirmiyahu v'amar makel shaked ani roeh vayomer Adonai Elai heitavta lirhod, ki shoked ani al devari lasoto, vayehi bar Adonai elai sheni lemor, mahata rohe v'omar, sir nafuach ani rohe, ufana mipnei tzafona. Vayomer Adonai elai mitzafon tipata hachara al kol yoshvei haaretz ki hineni koreh lechol mishpachot mamlachot tzafona num Adonai uva'o v'natnu yishkeso Petach Sharei Yerushalayim Ve'al kol chomotea saviv Ve'al kol harei Yehuda V'dibarti mishpatayotam Al kol ratam Asher azavuni Vayikatru Elohim acherim vayishtachavu l'masei yedehem ve'ata tezor matnecha ve'kamta v'dibarta aleihem et kol asher hanochi atzaveka ala al techat mipnehem penachitcha lifnehem vani Hine natati chayam Yair Mitzar, Ulamud Barzel, Ulachomot Nechoshet, Al Kol Haaretz, Limalechei Yehuda, Lesarea, Lechoaneha, Ule'am Haaretz. ונלחמו אליך ולא יוכל לך, כי איתך נאום אדוני להצילך. ויהי דבר אדוני אלי לאמור, הלוך וקראת באוזני ירושלים לאמור, כה אמר אדוני, זכרתי לך חסד נורייך, אהבת כלולותייך, לכתך אחרי במדבר, בארץ לא זרועה. קודש ישראל אדוני, ראשית תבואתו, כל אוכליו ישמו רעה. תבוא אליהם נאום אדוני, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל עמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך. ודברך מדבריך, אחור לישוב ריקם, כי אל מלך נאמן רחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני. האל נאמן בכל דבריו, רחם על ציון, כי היא בית חיינו, ולנו הנפש תושיע במהרה בימינו, ברוך אתה אדוני. ושמח ציון בבניה, שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, ואליהו הנביא עבדך, ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך, ומהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסו לא ישב זר, ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו
מגן דוד,
אמן.
על התורה ועל עבודה ועל הנביאים, ביום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת, על הכל אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו
וקדש השבת.
Amen. Yashar Koach, Reb Fischel. And my apologies to you and everyone else. Indeed, this Shabbat, there is a Haftarah discrepancy between the Nusach Lita, so to speak, the Lithuanian tradition, and the other Ashkenazi tradition, whether when a portion of Pinchas comes after the fast of 17th of Tammuz, as it is in our case, the fast was last Thursday, the Haftarah to be read is the one from the Book of Kings or the one from the book of Jeremiah. Rafi gave you the right pages. I gave you a bump steer when I spoke of Prophet Elijah. Not my first, and alas, I'm pretty sure not my last. As we're about to move on to the service for returning the Torah to the Ark, a fair warning, as I promised, it's been quite a while since we had our last direct interactive question and answer session. We're having one today, so prepare your best questions or second best questions or whichever you'd rather right after we return the Torah to the Ark. And now we turn to page 344. Yakum Purkan Min Shmaya.
Yekum Parkan Michemoyo. V'chol mi shoskim etzorchei tzibor b'emunah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shalem Zecharam, v'yasir mimkol makala, v'yirpal chol gufam v'yislach l'chol avonam, v'yishlach b'racha v'hatzlacha, b'chol ma'aseh im kol shalacheihem v'namar amen.
Ashrei, page 352.
Ashrei Ashrei Beitecha od yalucha selo. Elad Adonai daber pi, v'yorecha basar shev kodsho le'lam v'ed v'anach nirechya meyad le'lam hallelujah.
Please rise for the prayers for Canada and Israel.
Our God, we invoke thy blessing upon our country, on the government of Canada, the Prime Minister, and all who exercise just and rightful authority. Do thou instruct them out of thy law, that they may administer all affairs of state in justice and equity, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, right and freedom may forever abide among us. Unite all the inhabitants of our country, whatever their origin and creed, into a bond of true community, to banish hatred and bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions which are our country's glory. May this land, under thy providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting humanity in peace and freedom, and helping to fulfill the vision of thy prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall we learn war anymore. For all people, both great and small, shall we know the Lord. Amen.
Amen. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo. Barech, Barech, Medinan Yisrael, Reshit Tzrikat Geulatenu, Hagen Aleam Befrat Chastecha, Ufras Aleha Sukat Shalomecha. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo.
Prayer in response to the pestilence. Our God and God of our ancestors, take heed of our struggle with the new plague that befell the world. We pray before you, strengthen our forbearance in face of trials that may await us. Unite us in our common plight. Steady our hand and the hands of our leaders to combat the disease. As we stay separated in space, let us come together in spirit. Let us not be so vain as to think the ordeal was sent as retribution for our own iniquities, for we are not foolish enough to imagine carrying such clout over the universe. Do not allow us to imagine any of us can single-handedly bring about a big global solution for the immediate peril. Nor let us fall into the pit of despair and conclude that we can do nothing at all. Rather, give us the patience, goodness of spirit, determination, wit, and willpower to contribute to the common cause by little steps, precious small efforts joining the common cause. Grant us the blessing, O Lord, by protecting us and our loved ones and all your people on earth. Send your healing to those who suffer and solace to those who hurt. May we speedily and soon see the days of security and tranquility, happiness and good fortune. For it is said, return us unto you, O God, and we shall return. Renew our days as they used to be. Hashivenu Adonai Elacha v'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu Kikedem. And let us say, Amen.
A prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabbat Rock and Redeemer of the people Israel. Bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love and spread over the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with everlasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
We continue at the bottom of page 354, excuse me.
Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, ki nisgav shemo levado, hodu al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren leyamo, teila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael am kiravo, hallelujah, mizemor leDavid, havul Adonai b'nei Elim, havul Adonai kavod vos, havul Adonai kevod shemo, yishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh, kol Adonai alamayim eloi avod yirim Adonai amayim rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, kol Adonai behadar, kol Adonai shaber arazim, v'shaber Adonai et arzei alvanon. Vayar kidem kemo egel Lebanon v'Sirion kemo ben Re'emim. Kol Adonai chotzev lavod eish, kol Adonai yakel midbar, yakel Adonai midbar kodesh, kol Adonai yekol elai alon. Vayechesaf yadod v'chalok kulo yomei kavod. Adonai lama bo yashav vayeshev Adonai melech le'olam. Adonai oz le'yamo yitein. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom uvnecho yomar. Eis chaim ehi l'machazikim ba, v'tom che'am meyushar, deracheh darchei noam, v'chol netivoteh shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Hadesh Yameinu Hadesh Yameinu Keke
Please be seated. Sharkoach Cantor David. As promised, we turn on to the stage where anyone can ask anything. To remind you, there are no limits to the themes for discussion. You can ask about anything, no holy cows. We can talk about philosophy, politics, sex, even religion. Anything goes. Also, to let you know, because, well, our time is limited, we'll have 2 Shabbatot, this one and the next one, dedicated to your questions. But as today, you get to ask off the cuff, spontaneously, whatever you'd like. For the next Shabbat, we will invite you to email your questions. And by the way, if you want to offer to ask a question but remain an anonymous source to your query, just please make a note of that, and I will try to answer your question as best I can anonymously. Thelma?
Yeah, Rabbi, just a question. I had Yurtzat a couple of weeks back. Now, normally with the situation with the virus, one cannot really pray with a group. So what I did is I did Tehillim along with the prayers. Is that permissible?
Well, of course, Tehillim with the prayers is permissible, and woe be the day when a Jew cannot read Tehillim, read Psalms, because it's not permissible. Another option, which is, for instance, what we practice here at the Lodzer, is indeed we join all online and we even recite the Kiddush all together. Not all the rabbinic authorities agree that a minyan can be counted that way, but it sure beats staying separate at all times, especially such trying times as those. It's. I hope that answers the question.
Well, it does answer the question, but can I also do Tehillim when I'm praying for someone else?
Absolutely.
On their behalf.
Absolutely, most certainly. At all and any time, literally. That's.
Rabbi?
Rafi?
I was reading in the Pittsburgh Chronicle about COVID and the Torah. And yes, in Bereshit, we're talking about we should not eat certain things. In Bamidbar, chapter 11, it specifically talks about a plague that was hit by Jews who were eating meat.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the precursor of COVID, or was it just coincidence?
Well, you could argue that every magefa, every plague that comes is precursor to the COVID. Moreover, it's hard to believe that the COVID will be the last plague ever to plague the people on earth. So COVID in turn is precursor to other ones. But the Torah explicitly says, among the list of many beautiful things we're not to eat, thou shalt not eat bat. So, yeah, I'd say that's another more sure precursor. So far, I did not encounter pangolin in the Torah directly. The meat in question that you're talking about in chapter 11 of Bamidbar, of Numbers, is neither bat nor pangolin. It's actually kosher meat. It's quail. It's the way they came by it that that mostly was, shall we say, dubious. Okay. Yeah.
Saul has a question.
Hi, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
I have actually one question, one request. Is it possible to make a Kaddish next Shabbat for my father?
Of course. It's we do Kaddish every Shabbat, and of course next Shabbat we will, but if you want your father's name to be explicitly included and read before the Kaddish, can you please drop us a line? You can drop me a line, you can drop the cantor a line, or our president, and whoever is doing the announcements before Kaddish will include your father.
You needed my father's mother, right?
Sorry?
The son
No,
of...
no, just your father's name, and it can even be English name. It doesn't have to be Hebrew name.
Okay, my request is, when I did my Shurut Leumi, I don't know if you know what it's Shurut Leumi. It's like religious army reserve for religious. So they assign every girl adopting parents. So they're not going to be alone. So that father, he got COVID-19, is fighting it.
Oh, so it's not a Kaddish. You mean a prayer for his health?
No, my real father passed away almost 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. That's a Kaddish for him. But my adopting father that I did for Shurut Leumi is right now with COVID-19.
So you would like his name to be included in the get well list for our prayers. Did I get that right? Sorry, Mir, you're breaking up a little. Can't hear you.
I just want to pray for him for getting fast recovery.
Of course, by all means, please drop me a line, send me an email after Shabbos, and we will certainly include him and pray for his well-being. Refuah Shlema.
Thank you.
Rabbi, Saul's iPad is unmuted for a question.
Yes, please.
Rabbi, Shabbat Shalom, and Shabbat Shalom, David, long time no see. By the way, first time experiencing this Zoom Shabbat, and I like it. I like it a lot. So my question to you, Rabbi, is I believe that in the Parsha, it said that there was over 600,000 Jews in Canaan after, just before they entered the land of Israel or the Promised Land. Was there a census taken right after they left Egypt to see how many actually left Egypt?
Well, no, the first census is not immediately after. It's more than a year after. It pretty much opens the book of Numbers and gives it its Western name. It's called Bamidbar, in the wilderness in the Jewish sources, of course. Also, just to point out that 600,000, that's just males. Moreover, that's males of military age, aged 20 to 50.
Mm-hmm.
And women did not count, alas, for much in the days of our forefathers. In fact, our portion is that lonely champion of female rights in the Torah. Were the daughters of Tzlafchad. Tzlafchad he violated the commandments under warning and was put to death in the desert, and he left no male progeny. He had only 5 daughters. They're named actually by names, all 5 of them in our portion, in Pinchas. They approach Moses and they say, our father was, killed by heaven for his sins. And it's not fair that our family's name will be erased from amidst our people just because he had no male descendant, and his land, or the land that was supposed to have been his, will go to someone else, another family, if not another tribe. And Moses, again in consultation with God, tells them that their claim is absolutely fair and they get their own clans. They get their own. In fact, they become the matriarchs of their own families, and they get their own plots when the land of Israel is split, is divided among the children of Israel. Census is only taken twice in the Torah. There's the census for the Israelites in general, and there is also one census for Levites. Only Levites were censed earlier than that. And then there is another census in the days of Yoshua ben Nun, of Joshua, as they conquer and enter the promised land.
Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
You, that was a very politically correct answer as well.
It was? Yes. I wasn't aiming for politically correct. I think actually Torah is anything but politically correct. You know what? Political correctness also is one source of the so-called cancel culture. I don't know if you know the term.
Yes.
It's calling upon society to castigate, if not excommunicate, somebody who says something you find or does something you find outrageous. You find overly and overtly politically incorrect and generally unacceptable. And well, actually for me, and it's very, very relevant for our days, this part of the portion is very much about cancel culture. When God comes and speaks about Pinchas and says, I'll give him the covenant of my peace. In fact, some commentators, most notably Netziv Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, a great exegetic interpreter and rabbi, says that this is by no means an approval of Pinchas's extremism. It's rather a protection of Pinchas's soul when God gives him the blessing of peace so that he can find peace within himself, because if he does not, he will not be able to find peace with his neighbors, with his fellow humans.
Good.
So,
good.
Thank you. Okay, we do have time for a few more questions. Linda?
Hi, I have a question that I've been thinking. First of all, I want to thank you. The services here are just amazing. We wouldn't miss them. So just to let you know that, we're glad to be guests. The two Michaels who are being held hostage in China, what is the Torah's response to that? Like, some people are very upset and feel they should be let go and they should take this woman and do the exchange or whatever. And other people say this will lead to more people being hostages. So I just want to understand what the Jewish philosophy is on that.
It's, of course, a very timely and a very important question. And the question greatly dealt with in the Torah, in the Talmud, in the rabbinic literature, as you can imagine. Whatever the answer is, you know it will be heart-wrenching, at least to some people who get caught in the wheels, in the cogs of this realpolitik or the conflict. I'll just cut through the tape or whatever and tell you the bottom line of it. The Talmud very, very explicitly prohibits. There is a mitzvah. There is a famous commandment. Sorry, Linda, there is some background noise. I'll mute you for the moment and unmute you when I finish. My apologies. Again, there is a mitzvah. There is a commandment known as Pidyon Shvuim. Literally redeeming the captives. when Jews, be they warriors, soldiers fighting for their people, or just innocent passersby who were caught by enemies of the Israelites, or just by bandits, by gangsters or whomever, there is a commandment direct from the Torah. You have to gather to find the money. Firstly, their own city, then other cities pitch in if their city is very poor, and they have to buy them out. But there is a very explicit prohibition in the Talmud, practically unanimous, especially practically unanimous to the rabbis of that age. You were not allowed to pay more than a certain sum in ransom, even if you have way more money than that. And that sum, by the way, was quite moderate. It was nothing astronomical, nothing huge. And moreover, there was a commandment, or at least a rule, you had to spread the word of this prohibition. Again, you may be a billionaire, and the ransom demanded is, I don't know, $200,000. If it's more than what was allowed in the day to pay, you may not pay that ransom. And the rationale for that is as obvious as it is painful. Once you start paying outrageous and arbitrarily set ransoms, it becomes free for all. Whenever there is, whenever somebody wants to make a quick buck or a quick million, let's just get ourselves some Jews. And going back to your question, it is terrible, it is very sad, but we need to realize that once you start giving in to any demand, as long as the freedom of your people, your compatriots is on stake, then it will be the let's go and grab us a Canadian diplomat time. And that, of course, may cause the situation to go downhill instead of improving. It's there is no good choice, first of all, in this situation. But giving in when the potential leverage is practically unlimited, because you know what? If Canada and China start seizing each other's citizens, guess who's going to run first out of citizens? It's something that we cannot afford. So yes, in the classical rabbinian opinion, and it's the same with the with Israel today. There are few, if any, countries in the world that are as protective of their citizens that got in trouble abroad as Israel is. But for instance, when we're speaking of a terrorist organization, there are very clear limits to what Israel will do to ransom a captive from a terrorist group, because you're not only thinking about these particular captives, those prisoners, you think about the future ones or the other ones whose price will skyrocket, go up tenfold if you were to just accept the price as it is. That's in a nutshell, and it's of course a very tough situation and a very tough topic to even try to summarize it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's something to really think about, you know. It's a conundrum. So thank you.
You could say that again.
Hmm?
It's a conundrum on steroids, frankly.
That's right.
Yeah. Phil, you're on.
So, Rabbi, it really isn't as crystal clear as that. I'm not talking halachically, but I am talking Israel policy, and I'll tell you why. Because during the time of the Chalutzim and the pioneers, and even the time I recall well of Golda Meir, there was an express decision and policy not to negotiate with terrorists, and they would not kidnap citizens for the reasons that you've already expressed. Having said that, you are well aware of, I'm sure, and I am, that there have been multiple prisoner exchanges, and not just prisoner exchanges, but prisoner exchanges where the ratios are very, very different. So one for many is typically what has been done. Now, I don't know whether it's justifiable halachically relative to what you were saying, but I do find it somewhat puzzling because it's not a strict and consistent adherence to the policy that I thought used to exist.
Okay, so again, also a very fair point. And as I said, the issue is very complicated, elaborate. First of all, we do not negotiate with terrorists is a good catchy phrase, a fabulous line, but it could never and would never work in real life. You have to negotiate with every and any entity that comes into your life. Even if all you have to say is give up or we're about to blow you up, it's negotiating, frankly. And yes, of course, negotiations with terrorists on different levels have been going on for many, many decades, and they are going on for as long as there are terrorists. There is no clear-cut formula to what exchange would be accepted. Firstly, because there are too many moving parts. The situation is way too fluid to have a clear-cut formula. Secondly, because this formula would be, any such formula would have been a double-edged sword. Once you commit to that, any terrorist group knows they can push you to the limit. That's how far they can go. And maybe in another situation, you can negotiate a better deal. But yes, of course, I cannot think of a single Israeli government that has ever totally, indeed, abstained from negotiations with terrorism, because it's not possible, frankly. Having said that, the cliche of we do not negotiate with terrorists, on its own may have helped in quite a few situations to different Israeli governments. Letting know their people when, well, our own people, when there were demands to pay the ransom, of course, in people, and releasing terrorists usually, not in money or political cessations. That, well, we cannot do that. We do not negotiate with terrorists. And on the other hand, and similarly important, they could come whenever they did turn to terrorists to negotiate. They came from the position, as you know, we do not negotiate, or we cannot do it publicly, or we cannot do this or that because we're committed to not negotiating, right? So that in and of itself has always been a helpful negotiation point, actually.
Yeah, I guess what my only point in all this is the reasons why people are kidnapped is for leverage for an ultimate goal. As soon as the avenues for the ultimate goal are eliminated, it renders the kidnapping pointless, however heartbreaking it is in every instance. As long as there is a payoff, there'll always be kidnapping because there's an ultimate goal in mind. I'm not advocating one way or another. It's heartbreaking for the people involved, It just seems to me that it creates a precedent for more of the same. And I do note that in those governments and regimes where there were no payoffs to kidnapping, it began to render it less as a tool. But that's the only point I would make.
It does. Fair enough too. There are other ways of retention as well. For instance, anybody who kidnaps, let's grab ourselves an Israeli, knows that Israel is going to come after them, and it won't always be with a ransom. When, as opposed to kidnapping in crime, when somebody is kidnapped for ransom, it was, for instance, a hallowed business of many hundreds of years in Sardinia and many other areas. So when you kidnap someone for ransom, the greatest downside of your business, other than the obvious risks associated with it, is that you cater to a market of one. But with Israel, Kol Israel Arevim Ze Bazeh, all Israels are each other's guarantors, are intertwined together. When you get to one of us, you get to all of us, in a sense. So yes, we have to deal with it on both sides. And coming back to the situation with two Michaels, it's more of the same. And if you give up on there, it may be more of the same yet. It might make our situation only more precarious. Let's see, we do have time for one more question. And please remember, next Shabbat will be answering the questions that you send, that you communicate during the week. We'll also remind you over the week in the bulletin. So last chance to ask a question. Anyone, just wave at the camera vigorously. Going once, going twice. Anyone waving? Oh, Hope? Yes, you need to unmute yourself. I cannot unmute you.
I'm just wonderful to see you and Cantor David and all these beautiful people. Really missed you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Hope. Very well. Good Shabbos to all. Please rise as we turn to Musaf Amidah, preceded by Reader's Half Kaddish, page 368.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
V'yamad yivrach yotev lemachotei. V'chayechanu v'yamechanu v'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Agalav izman karivim aru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam le'olam maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'rumavinasei. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitala shmei l'kudesh abrich. Le'ela mikol b'chata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yalma v'imru. Amen.
We begin the Amidah together on page 370, then concluded silently after the Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemoi,
Eloheinu v'levateinu, Eloi Avraham v'Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Oel Hagadol Hagibar v'Hanor El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Kanei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot, May we go Nevenehem, the much Rabbi Abba, Melech Ozer, Moshiach, Magain, Baruch Atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemai.
Magain Avraham.
Amen.
Atah Olam Adonai, Mechayim Eitim Atah Rab Loshia. Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayim Eitim Berachamim Rabim, Samech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umegayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bagivurot, Umidam Elah, Melech Meimid Umechaye, Umatzmeach Yeshua, V'nemanat Alachayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye Ameitim. Naritza v'nakdisha kisot siyasar fekodesar fekodesh hamakdishim shimcha b'kodesh kakatuv ayad neviyecha v'kara zel zel v'yamai kadosh 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 kivod male male olam male olam mesharet shoalim zelaze hayim kam kivoda mesharet shoalim zelaze hayim kam kivoda leyumatam baruch yameru baruch v'nai kamo Mimkamo huifen berachamim v'yakonam amiyachadim shema erev v'boker bechol yom tamid hamayim beyavo shema omrim Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Mashiachenu v'hu yashmienu v'rachamav shenit li'enei kochai li'olachem le'elohim v'divrei kodesh katuv le'emoim l'chadonai le'olam Elohai Tzion l'dor v'dor Hallelujah l'dor v'dor nagig alecha ולנצח נצחים תשכן הקדיש ושיר אלוהינו מפינו למושלם ועד כי המלך אלוהינו ונשאת ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Amen. We continue silently, page 376 throughout 384.
יתגדל ויגשמי רבה ויעמוד דבריו פרטי ונמחדי וחייכון ומכון וחדר בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריבים אדום יש מרבה מברך לעולם לעמי יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירום מן הסי ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה Leila, make a regata vishirata, Jvachata Venachmatata, Miran Me'amavim Edo.
Amen.
Yitkabel Slaton Vadhon, Choisrael Kadama Vahandi Vishmayavim Edo.
Amen.
Yehi Shlama Rabbi Mitchamayo, V'chaim Alem Choisrael Vim Edo.
Amen.
Shalom Yam Yama, Shalom Aleichem, Birkot Israel, Imru, Amen. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Birkot Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom Aleichem, Birkot Israel. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Birkot Israel. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Birkot Israel. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Birkot Israel. Amen.
Hey, Shkoyach.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As always, I'd like to start my announcements by thanking the clergy, Rabbi Eli, for all you do day after day, week after week, and leading yet another one of your very stimulating and diverse question and answer segments. We look forward to it, and we look forward to next week's as well. Cantor David, thank you as always. It's always a pleasure to listen to your amazing voice, your refreshing tunes, and we look forward to listening to you for a very long time to come. Phil, thank you again. Arlene, for your always great job, and thank you so much. I know last week you participated under very difficult circumstances, and we thank you for that and hope that things are coming along, and we look forward to hearing you for a long time to come. to our Gavayim, as always, for doing such a great job. Sam, for your solos today, as always. Sam, the cottage boy, is a big part of our Shabbat service. So thank you very much. Charlie, for the pages and pages of e-bulletins, and not just the pages, but the quality of pages and the articles and the advertisements. And you do such a magnificent job. And I think we all would like to thank you for all that you have done. I do have a few announcements. Today's Zoom service is co-sponsored by Harvey Storm and family for the yahrzeit of Esther Storm, and Shirley Smokovitz and family for the yahrzeit of her parents, Israel and Sarah. Today's Adon Olam tune is sponsored by that anonymous friend again, and we'd like to thank the anonymous friend. Just a reminder that if you're interested in sponsoring a tune, just let us know. We do have some openings coming up, and I do think that it's a really fun segment of our service, and adds another distinct element, which is pretty much exclusive to our shul. Bingo every Tuesday. It says afternoons, but it should say evenings now, from 7 to 8 p.m. So just get a hold of our office and make arrangements to take part in that. Our Parsha of the Week class continues on Wednesday at 7:30. We have a book chat in July, which is quite unusual. Usually our book chats take a break in the summer, but in these times of COVID, it's great that we all get together more frequently. And the next book chat on Zoom is July the 23rd at 7:30. And the name of the book is Purple Hibiscus. There is a bit of a description and a commentary on the author, so in our bulletin, so please be sure to read that if you haven't. We're having our Yizkor service, as always, the week before Rosh Hashanah, the Sunday before, at 10 a.m. on September the 13th. What's going to be different about this one, it's going to be virtual, and please watch out for the details on that. We will ask a number of you to take part virtually, and we will try to make this as close as an in-person Yizkor service as we can. Also, if anybody is interested in a morning minyan, please contact one of the Gavayim, Rafi, Arnie, myself, or the clergy, or the office. Sarah is working from home. The phones are forwarded to her place, to her number, excuse me, as are the emails. So we stay in touch with everybody. By the way, if anybody needs a phone call, an email, anything comforting, just let one of the clergy members know, or the lay leadership. And of course, we would be more than happy to contact you. I know that our board have a list and are consistently calling people on their list. I'm on Harvey's list, and yes, Harvey calls me every couple of weeks. Not that it's necessary, because Harvey and I speak a fair amount as it is, but it's greatly appreciated, and I'm sure that you all share that with me. Our regular ways of contributing through the Tree of Life, Sisterhood cookbooks, Siddur dedications, Tree of Life. However, if you're interested in making a donation, please, by all means, contact the office. Speaking of donations, we are continuing our campaign for the Yizkor book. I know that many of you have been contacted and have already pledged to put ads in, and I hope you follow me by doubling the size of your ads from previous years. We really need to raise money this year, as every synagogue, most businesses are really suffering, and your synagogue needs not just your financial support, but support in any other way that you can help. So please, by all means, help out in any way that you can. Those are my announcements for now. Shabbat Shalom again. And
Mr. President?
Yes?
Sorry, didn't want to interrupt while you were ongoing. Just an update for this particular week. We've been let know by Judy there is no POW, no portion of the week class.
Okay,
Only
well,
this week.
Only this week? Terrific. So there you go. Parashah of the Week class resumes a week from this Wednesday, which according to me would be the 22nd of July. So now please turn to page 426 and join the cantor in Ein Keloheinu.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemakenu, Ein Kemashienu, Micheloheinu, Michadonenu, Michemakenu, Michemashienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Magenu, Nodel Mashienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Makenu, Baruch Mashienu, Atau Eloheinu, Atau Adonenu, Atau Makenu, Atau Mashienu, Atau Sheiktiru Avodeinu Lefanecha Et Ketoret Asamim Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemakenu, Ein Kemashienu. Amar Rabbi Elazar. Leman Achavere Aida Shalom Bach, Leman Beit Adonai Eloheinu Avaksha Tov Lach, Adonai Ozlamo Yitain, Adonai Yivrechem Ova Shalom.
Please rise for the Aleinu, page 428.
Aleinu Leshabeach Ladon HaKol, Ateikru Laliot Sebereshit, Shelo asanu k'yeharatzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachat Adama, Shelo samragenu kahem, v'garalenu k'chol amonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hunot Shamayim v'Yaser Aretz u'Moshav Yikaro Shmayim Imal U'Shin Adazah v'Gamim Meromim Eloheinu Ein Od.
V'nemar Ya'yanai V'melech Akol Haaretz Bayam Ha'hu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad.
We observed the following yurtzites this week. July 11th, Sarah Koplowitz, mother of Shirley Smalkovitz. July 13th, Elka Richmond, mother of Sheldon. July 13th, Esther Storm, mother of Harvey. July 14th, Abraham Lazar, father of Anka Noel. July 15th, Vitel Fichtenbaum, grandmother of Pearl Rosen. July 16th, Frida Nadler, mother of Sam. Condolences to Richard Grunberg and family on the loss of his aunt Ida Handel at 96 years of age. Ida Handel, the Polish-born violin protege who lived in Montreal from 1952 to 1989, died early on Wednesday, July 1st at her home in Florida. We also say Kiddush for those who don't have anybody to say it in their memory, and of course in memory of all those who lost their lives due to the pandemic, and in memory of the 6 million Jews that were needlessly slaughtered during the Holocaust. Please recite with me on page 434. Yit Kadal.
Everybody, a moment to unmute.
Let's start again. Yit Kadal.
Achirutei, Amlich Malchutei, Achayechon, Omeichon, Ovechayei, Vechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'ala, Man Riv,
Amen.
Yishar Koach, please be seated. We'll give the first opportunity of sharing news to those who want their news to be on the recording, and then everybody else will be able to share after Adon Olam and the Kiddush. So please wave at the camera if you have news that you'd like to share for the recording, whether happy, sad, mixed bag of blessing, or anything else. Nancy, please unmute yourself and you can go on.
Yes. Last May, we were supposed to be in Winnipeg for our niece's graduation from Gray Academy. And for obvious reasons, we weren't there. But we just found out that we can join her tomorrow for her convocation via the magic of Zoom. So we are going to be at her graduation in a way. And we feel very fortunate that we've got this system going. So that's what we wanted to share.
Wonderful. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you. No, he knew. He's going to.
Okay. Sam, you're unmuted.
Yes. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. Originally, my son David, my oldest son David, was scheduled to be married in August of this year, but because of COVID, the actual event was rescheduled for next year. Hopefully there'll be no COVID then. However, this evening, because we didn't want to wait, postponing a wedding is Ein Hora as far as I'm concerned, we will be having a civil ceremony with a justice of the peace and a signing of a marriage certificate that David and Rebecca got from the city hall. So my son David Nadler is marrying Rebecca Lipkis, and the official ceremony will take place this evening. So it'll be a small crowd, but I thought I would like to get that on the Lodzer record.
Mazel tov. Lovely
Thank
thing
you.
to have on the Lodzer record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is anyone waving? Anyone else waving at the cameras? Anyone going once? Going twice? Mira, are you waving?
Yeah, the Rabbi. Basically, my daughter, my Scottish daughter, is expecting in the next couple of weeks. A couple of things. My son was supposed to be in Australia last week for the summer with his Australian wife. His brother-in-law is getting married. Both the brother-in-law and the future wife have just graduated from medical school. So it's a good thing they're not going, because they closed up New South Wales and Victoria, and the police are on the road stopping everyone unless it's an emergency. And on top of that, my cousins, the Israeli and Australian cousins, have been elected associated dean of USC California, and is also the chair, both of them are dentists, and the chair of the World International Endodontic Association. And the last thing, it's raining up here in Friday Harbor.
In where, sorry?
Friday Harbor.
Oh, you're in Friday Harbor. Okay. Very nice. It sounds like isolation or no isolation.
Well, you're going to get it in
pandemics. You managed to live a very full life. Good for you, Izzy.
Every week's a good week.
Yeshar Koach, and thank you for sharing. Well, I will share with you too, barring changes in regulations within the next week, which is always very possible under current circumstances. I am due to be flying 1 week Sunday to Europe first, spend a few weeks there, and then fly to Israel in hope that by then, apparently by the 1st of August, with a certificate of negative COVID, I will not have to sit 2 weeks in quarantine in Israel. My little sister, second youngest in our family, is getting married in August. And once my sister Noah set her mind onto something, she's on track, she's there. So I will be reporting from wherever I am. Again, things can change within the hour nowadays. Okay, anyone else wants to get on recording? So yeah, Mira?
Is the international open?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
You said that you're going to Israel?
Yes, I'm going first to Europe. And
so the
from Europe coming
open.
to Israel. Hmm?
So the flights internationally open?
The European Union opened for 8 countries, Canada among them.
So to go to Israel, you have to go not direct?
No, I could fly directly to Israel because I'm a citizen, but then I definitely have to stay in quarantine for 2 weeks.
I would like to go to see my mom too. I thought the international is
Sure,
closed.
come with me, the more the merrier.
But I thought that the international flight is closed.
No, there are flights to Israel, jeden Montag und Donnerstag, 3-4 times a week.
My mom says the international, from Israel out, it's closed. How do
No,
they let you go
there are
in?
also flights from Israel to Toronto.
Because they canceled. My mom's supposed to be here now.
Well,
it's only
who am I
cancel
to
the
argue with
flights.
your mom?
It's El Al.
Fair enough.
Only El Al.
El Al is not flying. Everybody else is flying.
Oh,
That's
it's
true.
only
El
El Al.
Only got half of
is
you.
grounded.
Okay, good for the input. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Pleasure.
I'm gonna tell my mom.
Sorry?
No, I'm just gonna call my mom and tell her to maybe to try another airline.
Mm-hmm. Yes, certainly. Again, Canada only lets citizens in or residents, so does Israel. But barring that, very well, we turn on to the Kiddush. Please take 12 seconds to get your Kiddush. You're getting very apt, very prompted.
Rabbi Adon Olam?
Oh, yes. So get your Kiddush
If you look
within
at my-
Adon Olam. The tune today,
If you look at my background,
the tune today is sponsored by the Anonymous. And have fun recognizing the tune. Cantor, you're on.
Yes, and thank
I'm sponsoring the background.
Rafi is sponsoring the background. This is a reggae piece, so just think of the reggae beats in the background as I do this one. Adon Olam Hashem Allah B'terem kol yitzir nivra Le'et nasam v'cheftzat kol Azai melech shemo nikra V'yacharei Hichlad hakol Levado Yimlok Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hove Vehu Yeh B'tifara Vehu Echad V'yein Sheni Lehamshilo Lehakbira Bili Reshit, Bili Taklit, Meloz V'Hamisra, V'hu Ali, V'chai Goali, V'tzochev li, V'yetzara, V'hu Nisi, Umanos li minad kosimi yomekra kiyado avtidruki ve'enishan ve'aira ve'imruki giviati Adonai li Velo ira Adon Olam Hashem Allah B'terem kol yitzir nivra Le'et nasa v'cheftzat kol Azai melech shemo nikra Azai Melech shemo nikra.
Yashar Koach, Cantor David.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Pretty awesome. Wagwan, man.
Thank you, man.
All right. Please.